Welcome, my fans, to a spoiler Deadpool. So if you haven't seen the movie, I know I was one of the ones that was a little late on this, but if you still haven't seen the movie, see the movie before you see it, and before you see this video, or if you just don't care, check out and just continue. But I wanted to give you a warning that this is going to be a spoiler review. So let's start off for something that I don't think is really considered a spoiler, but in this one it was definitely more unique than other ones, Stan Lee's cameo. So for him, he was actually the announcer, possibility slash DJ of a strip club. Full blown, full nudity on this one, absolutely, everything you saw. And the thing was that he had a few lines in there. The only one I really remember was, it's like, you can't buy love here, but you could definitely rent it for $3. Now, I thought that was funny. But I mean, you see him, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe he was actually, that was his cameo in this strip club. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. I thought the beginning credits, and a lot of people talked about this already, the credits were so funny. I mean, the credits were going through stuff like, God's Perfect Idiot, which was supposed to be Ryan Reynolds, the Comic Relief, which was, T.J. Miller, the CGI character, which was Colossus, Moody Teen, on that one. Unfortunately, I can't remember the character's name. The British Villain is what it was on that one, and there were a few other ones, and they're kind of going through written by the real heroes, which I thought was really cool. And then it was directed by an overpaid tool. That was very fun. But the whole thing of the credits, and they're just showing like little glimpse of what was going on, some of the action scenes that actually happened on that highway with all those bad guys, so that was kind of funny on that. And there was a lot more than what the previews kind of showed you. Like the guy on the motorcycle, well, instead of him just getting his head chopped off, for whatever reason, Deadpool actually grabs him while he's up in the air, and he pretty much grabs his underwear, and the guy gets a wedgie. He pretty much just gets thrown. So in this one that I could remember, he doesn't get his head chopped off like they showed in the very first teaser back in the 2014 Deadpool that they didn't know if they were going to make or not. Ending the big fight there, where the whole time that Deadpool, or should I say Wade Wilson, was holding your villain, the reason why he didn't kill him at one point where he could have done it earlier in the film when he was actually on the highway. Unfortunately, he ended up escaping, even with Deadpool having a sword through his shoulder, but he was a mutant too. So the thing was, he was actually able to pull it out and run away. Well, thanks to Colossus kind of interrupting Deadpool on that one. But I love how every time that he tried to throw a punch or a kick at Colossus, he would break his hands. And of course the fourth wall stuff, what he's going with, and of course I never saw this movie, so I'm going to be spoiling this right now. But he actually, he's breaking the fourth wall, and it's like, have you ever seen the movie 127 Hours? Spoiler alert! And what happens is he ends up chopping off his hand, and after he does chop off his hand completely, he flips over and lands in this garbage truck. But I love whenever Colossus looks at Deadpool's hand, that Deadpool has his middle finger up at him. I thought that was a classic thing there. Now, I mentioned about the whole thing about the villain Ajax. I kind of just slipped up and said that right now. Where actually his real name was Francis. Wade Wilson actually pulled off his name tag off of his lab code. It's like, yeah, I know what your real name is. Ajax was actually, which is kind of funny there. But the whole thing is, he's trying to keep him alive because he says, you can change me, you can change me back. Where of course he kind of looks a little bit like Freddy Krueger. And the thing is, Francis is like, I can't change you back at all. It's like, I kept you alive this whole time for no reason. So Colossus comes over and tries to stop Deadpool. What Deadpool was about to, he pulls out this this little small gun and points it at Francis. And Colossus is trying to give him this, pretty much this whole hero speech about, do this, do this, do this. And, it only takes a few moments to really be a hero. You don't gotta wake up being a hero, take a shower as a hero, get into their suit, and go beat up bad guys as a hero. No, it just takes a few moments like this. So he just kept rambling on and on and on, and Deadpool's like, what, pretty much he doesn't say, it's just like, fuck it, and, shoots Francis in the head. And Colossus, I would have not expected this, turns away from the camera and throws up. That was actually kind of funny there. Another scene actually with Colossus was he was actually fighting a big-breasted brunette woman, and I know her from somewhere, but I just can't recognize the name. I mean, I can't, I know the face, but don't know the name right now. But the thing is, there's a scene where those two are fighting, perfect with the camera, where it's actually showing over his shoulder, and her left breast is actually hanging out, but we don't ever see her. We don't ever actually see her breast. But Colossus is like, oh, your left breast is out, and it's kind of blocking. It's like, oh, you are so sweet. So she's actually covers her breast right back up, and then just goes down and punches him right in the balls. Oh, that was funny. That was a classic scene. And then we get to the whole thing where we finally get the love interest, back with Wade Wilson, and he's saying to her, hey, I'm not the same person under this mask anymore. You might not want to look under there. So she takes off the mask, and it's like, oh, and this mask too, and it's actually like out of a magazine, but it's actually Hugh Jackman, a Wolverine. One of those ones that I thought was really, really cool there. And then we finally get to, all the credits. There's nothing in the middle of the credits, but there's something at the very end where it actually shows like this very nice house, and all of a sudden Deadpool pops his head out and says, oh guys, you still here? Just so you know, the movie's done. You guys can go home now. Well, what are you expecting? Samuel L. Jackson to come in with his eye patch and recruit me? Nah, that's not going to happen, and walks away. Then all of a sudden, fades to black for maybe about 2-3 seconds, so not long at all. Boom, he pops right back up. But I will say one thing about the Deadpool sequel. We're actually going to have Cable. I don't know who it's going to be. And he starts mentioning a few of these actors' names, and I think he also even mentions Keira Knightley, which really was funny too. We don't know who we're going to cast, but he'll be in the sequel. Oh, absolutely, they're going to have a sequel to this, and that I can't wait for. Thank you guys so much for watching the Spoiler Deadpool. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay awesome.